What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Should You Buy? I'm BouseFeenux, and it's been a really long time since I've done one of these, but I think For Honor is a game I'm going to be covering a lot of here in the future, and I think it's nice to have a proper introduction to it. Now, I know I covered For Honor a little bit in the closed beta and the open beta, but what we're talking about in this video is the actual retail version of the game, or the finished product, if you will. So with that being said, what is For Honor? Simply speaking, it's a 1v1, 2v2, or 4v4 melee combat game in a low fantasy setting. So basically, it's like medieval times. The premise is that three factions, the Vikings, the Samurai, and the Knights, are all pushing to expand their respective kingdoms, and they do that by getting together in small groups and beating the shit out of one another. Bonus points if you push someone off a ledge. Where For Honor is really unique, though, is in its combat system, and it kind of plays like a fighting game. You've got the standard light attacks, heavy attacks, grabs, chainable combos, and so on, but the big thing here is the stance mechanic in the game. You've got three stances, left, right, and up. These directional stances determine what direction you attack your enemy from and what direction you block their incoming attacks from. It's a simple concept to be sure, but it takes a ton of getting used to at first. It's also one of the major mechanics that can really turn people off from getting into the game. That being said, when you get the hang of it, overall the combat in For Honor is a blast, at least to me personally. When it works really well, and when it doesn't, well, the cracks kind of start to show. For example, in a 1v1 or 2v2 setting, the combat in For Honor really shines. It's just you and another person facing off to see who's the better brawler. However, in the 4v4 scenarios, things kind of start to fall apart. It pretty much just becomes a massive gang fest, and while it made me super salty at first, as I'm sure it did some of you, the more I played it and decided to become one of the gankers instead of being one of the gankies, the more fun I had. As for progression, For Honor does have a gear-based system. After every fight, you've got a chance to get a piece of gear from the character you're playing that affects its various stats and has a different cosmetic appearance. These stats only take effect in 4v4 modes, so don't worry about getting slammed going into 1v1s or 2v2s. It'll be a level playing field there where only really your skill matters. You can then level your gear or buy crates that contain new pieces using steel, which is the in-game currency. Now, you can buy this currency with real money, which is absolutely fucking stupid considering this is a premium $60 game, but this is Ubisoft we're talking about here. Did you really think they'd miss a chance to make a quick buck off the tryhards? Thankfully though, steel is very easily acquired at the end of matches and through daily quests called contract orders, and there's always a few of those to choose from every day. Now, for those of you curious about this, there is a single player campaign that takes you through a story for each of the three factions in the game. I played through a little bit of it on my live stream, and from what I gather, it's pretty much just an excuse to sell the game for 60 bucks. The multiplayer is really where it's at with For Honor though, and the single player, while mildly interesting, is more or less there to introduce you to the game, set the story and motivation for the world you're playing in, and get you to play a few different characters so you can see which ones you might want to learn for multiplayer. So I guess in that sense, it pretty much serves its purpose, which is totally cool with me. My one major gripe though is the single player can only be played if you're online. No offline play for this game whatsoever, so if you've got limited internet, you're gonna have a really bad time with this game. If you are interested in seeing more of the single player though, you can check out the live stream I did of it the other day by clicking the icon in the top right hand corner of the screen. Moving on though, one of the big things I'm worried about when it comes to For Honor is the longevity of the game. I feel that a game like this caters to a very specific group of players, and once everyone gets super good at it, there will be a very high barrier of entry that drives most players away. For example, think about how Counter-Strike and Rainbow Six Siege have evolved. They have very competitive player bases, and it's hard to get into those titles as a new player. The other Achilles heel to this game are the P2P or peer-to-peer servers. There are no dedicated servers in For Honor, which means that someone in your group is hosting a match, and the connectivity quality of that match depends on the strength of the person's internet. While gameplay has been much more stable in the final release of the game compared to the beta, there are still issues here and there that are just insanely frustrating. Super long load times between matches, people quitting and the game freezing up, and general stuff like that make it hard to sit down and enjoy a match or two when you don't have a lot of time to play. Now, historically, and hopefully this happens in the future, Ubisoft has created dedicated servers for games that end up doing well. Rainbow Six Siege is a shining example of this. Overall though, I love this game. The combat is addicting, the community is salty as hell in a fun way, it runs amazingly well on PC, and has some of the best character animations I've ever seen in a video game. If you're on the fence about checking this one out, I highly recommend it. It's the most fun I've had playing something in a really long time, so should you buy it? Absolutely. Also, at the time of this video, Ubisoft is running a promotion right now where you can spend 100 U points to get a coupon for 20% off. Additionally, if you hate Ubisoft, Green Man Gaming also has this title for 15% off the last time I checked. That might change soon though, so don't quote me on that. But that's all for today though, guys. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like down below and consider subscribing to the channel for more gaming content. Until next time though, I'm BouseFeenux. I'll see you at the next video, and as always, thank you so much for watching.